On September 27, 3048, 2 uneventful years into a deep periphery exploration mission run by the Comstar Explorer Corps, the jump ship Outbound Light jumped into an uncharted star system known to Comstar's records only as G7V. What they found would start a chain of events that would echo in history, like ripples in a great pond. The first such ripple came nearly a year later, in August 3049. On a periphery world known as the Rock, elements of the elite mercenary Kellhounds were dropped onto the iron-rich landscape to hunt down the notorious pirate Red Jack Ryan. When the Kellhounds found the pirates, they stumbled upon a battle already raging between Ryan's bandits and a mysterious force wielding battlemechs never before seen in the Inner Sphere. Painted with a flat, gray paint scheme and seeming to possess design elements of multiple mechs at once, these strange newcomers confused the battle computers of their opponents. Worse still, this mystery force fought with amazing skill that surpassed even the Kellhounds, and possessed technology beyond anything they had imagined. Contact with all other periphery worlds in that region was lost at virtually the same time, but the Inner Sphere did not immediately notice. After all, losing contact with the periphery was not uncommon. However, by early 3050, the silence from their outlying worlds had become ominous, and so the successor states began to investigate, even as reports of attacks started to flood in from multiple sources and locations. Along a front nearly 500 light-years across, an army, calling themselves the Clans, had begun an invasion of the coreward sector of the Inner Sphere, which contained the Lyran portion of the Federated Commonwealth, the Free Razorhaig Republic, and the Draconis Combine. The origins and identities of these clans were, as yet, unknown. News of the invaders sparked a panic throughout the successor states, even as the massive scale of the incursion became increasingly clear in the minds of worried leaders. The Draconis Combine and Federated Commonwealth reacted by mobilizing their own considerable defenses towards the invasion zone, but the young Free Razorhaig Republic was too new, and was overwhelmed almost from the start. For their part, the 4 invading clans, identifying themselves as the Jade Falcons, the Wolves, the Ghost Bears, and the Smoke Jaguars, had collectively struck down 35 worlds in just 1 month. In each case, even hardened defenders were easily brushed aside. By May, just 2 months into the invasion, the clans had consolidated their initial gains and launched a second wave, capturing 27 additional worlds. A month after that, a third wave hit, netting another 25. Along with this alarming news came the reports of regiment after regiment of battlemechs being completely wiped out, including numerous highly experienced units. The Inner Sphere militaries were reeling under the assault, and would need victories soon to avoid a collapse of morale. Having gathered a considerable number of forces by this time, the Federated Commonwealth and Draconis Combine got their opportunity for such victories, even as the clans were launching their 4th wave. In the Federated Commonwealth, a counterattack resulted in the Battle of Twycross, retaking that world. In the Draconis Combine, the Smoke Jaguars failed to take Wolcott against an elite force. It was in the Free Razorhaig Republic that the most important development occurred, however. Fleeing the fall of their capital world of Razorhaig, the remnants of Razorhaig's aerospace forces were defeated by a fleet of clan warships, but not before managing to kill the leader of their entire clan invasion with a kamikaze fighter attack on the flagship. At the same time, word of these battles was making it to the other Inner Sphere powers involved in the struggle. Other reports were also observing that all along the front, the invasion had halted practically overnight. Into the eerie calm that fell across the embattled lines, the Inner Sphere wondered, had this handful of defeats amounted to what these strange invaders considered a reason to call off their attack? Even as the leaders of the great houses sought answers to this question, a summons came to each of them from an unexpected source. Wolf's Dragoons, themselves an enigmatic force that had originated suddenly from the periphery nearly 50 years prior, and subsequently had become the most celebrated and respected mercenaries in the Inner Sphere, now invited the House Lords to a great meeting on their own world of outreach. Though the representatives of the famously secretive mercenaries would not speak of their purpose in advance, Each ruler in turn became persuaded that this was not a trivial moment in history, and that the honorable mercenaries could be trusted enough, and so each made plans to travel to the Dragoon world. This understanding proved correct, for upon their arrival, Colonel Jamie Wolfe called them to a great conference, during which he made two startling announcements. The first was a confirmation of the clan's origins. They were indeed the descendants of the army that left with General Kerensky almost 300 years before. The second was an announcement that the Dragoons themselves had once worked for the clans, before being assigned a mission to prepare the Inner Sphere against an inevitable invasion, revealing that the Dragoons had ultimately been commanded by those within the clans who opposed an invasion, those who were known as the Wardens, to protect the Inner Sphere against the coming onslaught of the Crusaders, that is, those within the clans who saw the successor states as little more than barbarian realms that had forfeited their right to rule the Inner Sphere. The mercenaries were not Wolfe's Dragoons after all. They were the Wolf Dragoons, having originated from Clan Wolf. As for the clans themselves, the Dragoons confirmed that there were actually 17 clans in total, not just 4, and that the Inner Sphere had merely seen the tip of the spear. The clans had halted their invasion only because their overall war leader, the Ilkhan, who functioned as the Khan of Khans, had been killed during the Great Space Battle with Razorhage. But they would only be gone a short time while the Grand Council worked to re-elect another. And then they would undoubtedly come back harder than they had the first time. From this point on, with the aid of the Dragoons, the Inner Sphere would begin a crash program of refitting their armies with recovered and ever more advanced technology of their own. Whether it would be enough would soon be determined.